Alright guys, so Unclebuck is mostly back together. Still waiting for a couple parts, but figure in the meantime, while we're waiting for some parts, might as well be productive and do the other little thing that I kept a secret. I told you we were doing an engine swap and a couple of little things, and then I said we got a big secret going that we're going to do to the truck, but we're not going to say anything about it. For the last couple of years, we've been running the race lines, the 22 by 8.5s in the front with a 5.5 inch backspace, and then 22 by 10s in the rear, 5.5 inch backspace. So it's been super reliable. Haven't managed to bend any of the wheels, knock on wood. It looks great. I've powder coated the wheels. Burnt Reynolds is what the color is called. Prismatic powders. Scott over Atlanta Custom Coaters powder coated the wheels. But I'm ready to change it up. So I like the look and everything, but I want more lip in the rear. So we're gonna upgrade to some 22 by 12s with a 2 3/4 inch backspace, powder coated, same color, burnt Reynolds. So we are gonna have to narrow the diff. My early calculations was we're gonna get the truck on the lift, fit a wheel, and measure it, and double check the measurements. But my early calculations, we're gonna have to narrow the diff about 5 inches on each side, which it's pretty much the most amount you could narrow the diff with those brakes on it. We're already gonna have to turn the hub a little bit so the brake caliper goes over top of the leaf spring. So that way the brake caliper in the rear clears the leaf spring. If you had drums in the back, it would probably be fine, but since over disc conversion, the caliper will hit the leaf spring, so we got to turn it so the caliper goes over top of the leaf spring. I don't know how that's going to work. It should be fine, but you know, I don't know how it looks as far as having to take the caliper off to get the axle in and out. I don't know, but either way. So 12 inch wide wheels. We're going with like a 13.5 inch tire. These are 335 25 22s, Toyos. I got them from Summit Racing, like 225 a tire or something like that, nothing crazy. My buddy Noah over at Midtown Tire, you know, he does all of our tire mounting and balancing. Great dude. He mounted up the wheels, or mounted up the tires. So, and then since we're going so wide in the rear, the factory tubs are not going to work, which I'll show you these real quick. So factory tubs are going to be about an inch and a half too small for them wheels. So we're going to have to take these tubs out, cut the bed, and then we're going to fit the AMD 4-inch wide widened wheel tubs. I've already painted these. I had my buddy Nick Henderson from American Resto Mods painted these along with the engine stuff. That's the same color that should be underneath the bed if the bed was brand new. So before we put these in, I'm gonna latch them on to the back of the forklift and drag them around the shop a little bit, get them all scratched up so they look normal. But yeah, so we're gonna have to cut the bed, fit this, add, you know, take away basically 4.5 inches on the inside of the bed to make this fit. So I'm gonna get the truck up on the lift. It's still, we don't have an air intake or anything on it yet in the upper radiator hose because I'm waiting for air intake parts to make the upper radiator hose. So it's basically just got a silicone coupler attached to the throttle body with the mass airflow sensor wedged in it. So it's not running premium, but it's running. So we're gonna get it on the lift, fit a wheel, call Mosier right now, get axles coming, put it all back together, set it back to the side. When the axles get here, then we'll cut and fit the axle, put it back in the truck, blah blah blah. So stay tuned. All right, guys, so we got the wheel on here. Obviously, you can tell there's a little issue with space. So, got quite a bit of room to come in on the inside. It's not enough room, but there's room. So, what we'll do is we're going to measure. So from the lip here to the outside of the tire, it's about 4 1/4. But I want to be well past this lip. So we're going to go another 5 inch. We're going to go to 5 inches. That puts us about 3/4 of an inch past the inside of this lip. So that gives us plenty of space. If you start getting, you start going like this, it'll give you plenty of room inside here where the tire's not going to catch, because it does tuck some of this tire. You can see on this tire, it's rubbed a little bit on the inside of that bedside. So we're just going to take it just a little bit past that, so we don't have to worry about it coming in and rubbing. And you also see that it's kind of damaged this wheel right here. It's kind of something on the inside of that bedside has touched this wheel. Now granted, it's only touched it like once, but it still touched it. So I don't want that happening again. So we're going to take it just a little bit farther in than, I wouldn't really say we need to, but a little bit farther in than you'd think you'd want to go. But so that's going to give us 5 inches. So if you come in here 5 inches, that puts us right on the flange for the wheel tub. So I'd say we're like a 1/2 inch, maybe 5/8 of an inch past the wheel tub right now. So we need to come in with the wheel tub anyway. So I'm gonna put them AMD widened wheel tubs in there, just like a ease of, just a little simplicity. So we'll just come in, basically just extend the shape of this inner fender, just bring it over, 4 inches, which should be about right here, or about right here. So just move it in, build a new flange, and it'll be easy. So I'm gonna call Mosier right now, order these axles, and then we'll get the wheel tubs out and start shaping those around and get the new wheel tubs bolted in. All right, things have escalated rather quickly. So we called order axles, and they needed another spline clamp, which I didn't know. So I had to tear the whole rear end apart to get the axle out. But the axles are ordered. Yeah, they'll be here in like 5 days. So we'll put this all back together for now and work on other things. So yeah. So Unclebuck no longer has the axle. So the axle shafts, I ordered them. They're here now. I actually had aftermarket axles already in it. I don't know whose those are, but yeah, weird. But anyways, I've got the axle all tore apart already. I've got the carrier and everything out of it. I've got it all, I cleaned it up a little bit with some like oven cleaner or whatever. Just kind of get some of the grime off of it. I've cleaned and laid out where my cuts are going to be on the axles. We're taking 5 inches out right here in the center. And it's going to work out really good because it puts us close to the perch, but not too close where it's going to screw with me welding it back together. And then it's pretty close to this outside flange, but not too close to where the tube starts tapering pretty heavy. And so I've got, I've got both of them laid out, ready to go. The cut these little brake line brackets off. They were right here, but we're gonna probably move them in here, weld them back in here. Blah blah blah. Probably gonna end up having to make a new brake line. But I'm gonna get it cut and then probably fit it back in the truck and just make sure that the caliper clears the leaf spring and everything. And then I'm gonna get to taking these tubs out. So, all right, guys. So we got the rear end cut, cleaned up, and tacked back together, and I've got it back in the truck now, just kind of mocking it up. Everything looks really good. I was worried. So what we did is we rotated these calipers 15 degrees. So they were down here at about 30-ish degrees. So we rotated them all the way up to almost like a 45-degree angle now. So it clears the leaf spring, goes right over top. As the leaf spring gets more weight on it, it should flatten out. So it'll even clear it even more as we get weight on the truck. But yeah, I get all the U-bolts in it. The bottom plate goes on just fine. I've got, I know it's not tightened down or whatever, but I've got my shim in here, my pinion shim. I'm really got to figure out something else to do with this lowering block. I hate how this is done. It's a spiral, a downward one. So eventually I'm putting coilovers on this truck. So I really don't want to invest a whole bunch of time into the, you know, suspension or whatever. But anyway, so it clears everything. We took 5 inches out of the axle. Everything's clearing. So I'm gonna go ahead and run with it. We'll pull it back out, weld it up, and then start working on the bed. So one other thing real quick is, whenever you have rear disc brakes, you really have to make sure that this bleeder is pointed up. So if this bleeder is like pointed this way, it's not going to bleed right. It'll get air trapped in one of these cylinders, and you could bleed them for a week and a half and it'll never bleed out. So always make sure that your bleeder is you know, straight up. If it's not, you have to take the caliper off, rotate it until the bleeder points up, and then bleed it. So I think we'll be okay here because the bleeder still points, you know, it's still up. So I think it'll be all right. So I've got the interfitters out, and I've marked this, just basically moving this radius here over 4 inches for the new tub. So I made a little template. I made a little template of the radius and everything, and then how deep I needed it. So let's see if I can give you a better shot here. So basically what you should be able to do is just cut them arches and move it in 4 inches. And you'll probably have to finish off the edges of the bedside or whatever, but yeah, I got my air saw. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this and fit the tub and see what kind of mess we got. So I got the tub fit in there. I got it cut out and fit. It fits pretty well. There's a little gap right here, but nothing crazy. Yeah, it fits in there, and it actually, I know the color's a little shinier than the rest of the truck, but the color's pretty close to the factory. Man, you would not believe the amount of anguish I had to suffer just to get that paint for them tubs mixed up. I had to go to 3 different paint stores, and none of them could find the paint code in the truck because it's too old and blah blah blah. So I had to like dig around on the internet, find the actual paint code for them, and because they couldn't use the code off the glove box because blah blah blah. It was a mess. Anyway, so there's like 3 paint stores. I finally got somebody to mix me up the paint, and it's pretty, I mean, it's pretty close. I bet you if the truck was all new, it would match pretty good, like you could see. But I know it's going to look a little goofy with old patina bed floor, new shiny tubs, but the only other option was putting new bed floor in it for the widened tubs and painting it and having it all brand new, and then now we're worried about scratching stuff and blah blah blah, and then that's just kind of taken away from the truck and what, you know, we use it for. So I figured it'd be best to just paint the new tubs and cut the floor and make them fit the floor. So anyway, here we are. But I'm going to shear some little 1 1/4 strips to go around where I cut, tack weld them in there, take take the tub out, put the strips in there, weld it all up, clean it all up, put the tub back in, drill all the holes in it, and then put the tub in and re-seam seal it, and be done with this. And then we'll put the rear axle back in. So we've got some progression. Both the tubs are in now. I finished off the metal on the inside, and then primed the inside, and now I've masked it all off. I'm gonna throw some seam sealer on there. Tubs fit okay as far as matching up the factory bolt holes. I didn't have to clean up. I had to waller out a couple holes, but Trey's laughing at me. They fit pretty good. I kind of, there's one little spot where I kind of cut it a little bit big and I had to go in and fill it in. But you know, when you're working with the brain power I got, a little fill in here and there, it's just, you know, comes with territory. But I'm gonna go ahead and seam seal these up. Get the seam sealer on them, raise the truck back up, clean up the bottom, spray some paint in there, and then get the rear end put back together and get it stabbed under there while I got Trey here to help me. So stay tuned. I've got the diff reassembled, and I gave it the nice dirt oleum paint job. Just kidding, it's roll bar chassis paint, you know. Anyway, so it's ready to go back in. We got the stands all set up. We got some you know, rags down as if this is a Riddler build. But I'm gonna set this camera up. Me and Trey are gonna put this axle back in here real quick.
Nice. Coming down, Trey.
Hey,
Watch this shock, Trey.
I'm good over here.
Oh, you're so strong, Trey. Here, you do this one.
Okay. You want to lift it up and put a little pressure on the rear end and see if we can get these shocks in. They need back down by an inch. Alright. Mike, you could not have brought that any more over.
What?
So you couldn't have brought it over.
Oh no. If anybody at home is wondering the farthest you can narrow a stock 10-volt GM on leaf springs, the answer is 5 inches. Anything else and the world's coming to an end.
Can't even stick your finger in there.
So, got the rear end back in here. Got the brake lines made. I got the center brake line. I gotta bolt it up yet, but it's in there. Yeah, like I said though, no more room. That's as close as you're gonna get. So I'm gonna shorten these brake lines up, and then we're gonna bleed the brakes and put it back down on the ground. So I got the brake line all done, shortened up. I'm gonna lower it down. Me and Trey are gonna throw a wheel on there for the first time, see how it looks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I picked this little wheel up. Look at that. Looks tremendous. Look at all this rear meat. Heck yeah. So, worked super late finishing this thing up yesterday, so I didn't really get a chance to get it out in the sun or anything like that, but today's a new day. Sun is shining bright, so we're outside, and we'll blammo. Yeah, boy, look at that. Them freaking deep wheels, man. Dude, it looks nice. I know you want to look at the truck and not look at me, but wheels and tires will make or break your truck. You could build a truck like this and put on some torque thrust, super lame. But you put on some nice billets or whatever, premium, man. Like, just look at it. The wheel tubs in the back look good. They're a little dusty, but they're looking good. Look a little too brand new for the truck, but you know, what are you gonna do? Look at the meat. Meat in the back. 335 25s. I mean, it's a lot of tire. 13 inches of tire, so love it. Looks great. So we still haven't even driven the truck from doing the motor. So like, we did the motor and then I was waiting for parts. So we immediately tore it apart and did the rear end. So I haven't even driven it yet. So me and Anna are gonna actually go rip it down the road and film driving it. Love it. So anyway, thanks for watching this video. I hope you super duper enjoy the new wheels on Unclebuck and the amount of labor and everything that I had to go through to get them fit on there. Any comments, questions, concerns, throw them down below. Again, thanks for watching. Subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next HIDG video.